So what does it mean to sleepwalk through life? In my mind, it means just going with the motions, not really taking life by the scruff of its neck, just floating through each day, allowing it to pass by you, and you're not really establishing a deep, conscious relationship with what's going on. You're rather living in this kind of world of distracting yourself, doing things which do not really satisfy you on a deep level. You're doing things which do not truly interest you and which do not provide you with a deep sense of meaning with life. When you're sleepwalking, it is almost as though you are just going about life automatically, um, relying upon these automatic mechanisms, not really there, not really with it. And I think it's a profound tragedy to see how many people live their life, will, will live much of their life sleepwalking, essentially, like a zombie. And they never really had within their life the opportunity to truly live, or the opportunity to truly see what life has to offer. You see, life is a profound gift, and yet many people do not see it as such. They see their life in a very narrow way, narrowly isolated to just their job, whatever hobbies they do on the weekend, and working in a job, a role which doesn't really truly fulfill them. A lot of their time is siphoned um, because of this, and they're tired, fatigued. They get home after work and they numb themselves out with entertainment by binge watching a new Netflix series or watching whatever stuff they show on TV. A lot of these activities serve the function of sedating us, sedating our senses, and numbing us to the existential void that has become of us. You see, sleepwalking, sleepwalkers, they have a kind of deep emptiness within their soul, and they are lost. There's this kind of meaninglessness, this kind of aimless wandering to their being. They're not really there. And when we discover within ourselves that we have become almost akin to a sleepwalker, almost akin to someone who is just going through the motions and not truly living, the realization that we have become that can be quite confronting to many. It is not easy to see how much of one's time and energy is being wasted in things that do not truly satisfy the soul. However, if we are to truly grow, we must confront the activities, the relationships that we may have, which are numbing us and putting us into this sleepwalking state. Alcohol is a very notable one, which many people are in the grips of. The alcohol is a substance that is obviously heavily glorified in much of culture as this normalized thing that people do in groups for fun. Um, though, of course, this is not a substance that is going to activate your senses. It's not going to activate you in such a way that you will awaken or you will feel better in your body and mind. Rather, it is a very numbing, sedating, and lowering kind of thing. It numbs you and puts you in a very lower state of consciousness where you experience much more desires, much more aggression, um, impulsive thinking. It does not really activate the rational, higher parts of the mind. And you see, sleepwalking, a state of being where we are resting in these automatic, lower, reflexive processes. In that mode of consciousness, there is a visible absence of the higher conscious mind. the higher rational mind, that part of us which can consciously reflect on a situation where we are and be able to guide us from a higher perspective. Often it is our impulses and our lower desires that can take us into sort of situations that do not serve us. Many people can relate to this feeling of just being gripped by desire, and then they find themselves somewhere and they're like, how did I get here? This isn't smart, this isn't wise. Our wisdom does not come from our desires, it comes from our capacity to transcend our desires. That part of us which activates with wisdom, which activates us in the moment as a form of kind of knowing of what to do. And in order to step into that mode of consciousness where we know what to do and we're not just being swept up in experience, that kind of knowing requires that we step back and become a silent observer of our consciousness and a silent observer and witness of what's going on. To not simply just be swept up in the currents of life, but rather to step back and see what is going on. And when you see what is going on, then you can act with a higher form of consciousness. And that is the evolution that is required in order to become what is regarded as a conscious co-creator, someone who is not a prisoner to experience, someone who is not a victim of reality, but is rather actively flowing with reality. It's a higher yogic state of consciousness. The meaning of yoga is to ultimately come to a higher awareness of the mind and the body and the nature of reality, such that you as a conscious entity can act with more volition, more deliberateness, and more consciousness. Kind of like a musician who wishes to develop and cultivate a higher attunement with their instrument, a higher capacity to elicit more complex rhythms, sounds, melodies, more detail. They want to see deeper into that reality of music and wish to harness and express and manipulate the world of music with more fun, with forms. Someone who has never played an instrument before, they will not be able to express the same musical forms as someone who has practiced and evolved with music for many years. And in a similar way, one who has not practiced and evolves with their own consciousness through meditation, yogic techniques, awareness, contemplation, one who has not practiced that practice, they will not have the degree of awareness that someone who has. They will be akin to a sleepwalker, someone who is living through life unconsciously. And consequently, when you live through life unconsciously, you do not see many things, you miss many things, you do not realize your potential. And of course, one may say that such people will just simply have to reincarnate again and again until they learn the lessons of self-realization. But of course, in this lifetime, in this incarnation which you are in, you have the opportunity of the human form to learn many things about what is going on here. And you can choose to pull on that thread of curiosity and dive deeper into who am I, what is going on, how can I act and manipulate and affect the elements of the world with more consciousness. You can choose to pull on that thread, or you can choose to ignore it. That is a choice you may make, but it is not a choice that I would necessarily advise. It is not a choice that will lead you to deeper meaning or fulfillment. It is a choice that will lead you deeper and deeper into the pits of illusion. And illusion will grip you in a kind of cage, a cage where you are unable to discern fact from fiction, truth from non-truth, and you will exist within a deep sense of confusion, a confusion as to why I'm here, what I'm meant to do, and what to do next, really. The remedy for confusion is truth. And to attain truth, you must look within. You will not find truth adequately expressed within a book or taught to you by someone else. They may point you to it, but they are always going to be pointing you to yourself ultimately. So I wish to leave the listener here with a probing question as to who they are, what they're doing here, and what to do next. That is a question to animate you now.